Once you are done with this part, getting your whole design planned out, then you are going to be ready for your practice cut. That might be this class or it might be the next class. You cannot even pick up this tool unless I have come over to you and shown you the correct way to use it, because this tool is very sharp and we have specific rules to help us so that we don't get injured. So that will be in the next video. So after you've done your practice cut, then you are going to just start to cut away everything that has black on it. Some reminders: you always want to have your printing plate pushed up against the bench hook. You never want to have your hand here. You always want to have it behind your back. Now, the easiest ones to cut are the ones that are straight up, like these lines. And I'll show you how we'll get to some of the other lines after. Now, when you're cutting, you don't want to push down. It should be really easy. So you want to keep your hand nice and straight, and you should push just a little bit so that you get some out, but that you're not digging too deep. And after you get a little bit, then you can kind of take it off and get the excess off. So now I'm going to do this part. When you do get up to the curved ones, you're going to have to turn your printing plate so that the curves are almost facing up. So you have to go slow and then you curve your arm, but my other hand is behind my back. If it gets stuck like this, you could put this down and just pull it up. When right before you get to the line, you want to kind of go up. So you're like dipping and scooping. So scoop. If it starts to slide, you might need to turn it to get to it from a better direction. So if I were to go like this, see how it's moving? That's not a good place. I have to turn it so that the lines, it's not gonna move when I scoop it. So if it's moving, that means again, you have to adjust it to a better spot. So I could turn it like this, and that might be a better spot. Scoop. Go nice and slow and scoop. If you're having a hard time scooping, that means you're probably digging too deep, and you want to scoop right before you get to that line so you don't cut off anything too much. The good thing is our designs are pretty abstract, so even if we make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. Now for this one, if there's any areas that maybe were a little bit hard for you to cut, just raise your hand and I can always do it for you, like if there's just one or two areas, because I don't want you to cut yourself. But no one should even come close to cutting themselves if your hand is behind your back. Now for this one, I decided that I want to cut out a lot of the background, but before I do that, I want to, and up, it's moving, so I have to turn it to see the best part, the best angle to cut from. And you might have to cut some of it, and then as soon as it moves, you can scoop and then get a better angle. So now this is going to be more straight. So if you have a background that you're going to be cutting out again, make sure you cut all the other things out first, and then you can go back to cutting the background. So after I cut out my leaves, I started cutting the background. It's really important that when you're doing the background, you're always cutting in the same direction. You might not have a background to cut out, but if you do, I'm always cutting up so that these little lines, you're still gonna see some of them even though you're cutting it out. That adds to the texture of the background, which will look nice, but you don't wanna have the background be like cuts like this and cuts like this. You always want it to be up. So when I'm turning it, I have to make sure that I can always cut in the same direction. So to get this part, I don't want to turn it like this, because then I'm going to be cutting up, but these lines are going the other way. So I'm going to turn it like this so that if I cut, I'm still cutting and matching the background lines. So now that I'm done, I'm going to throw all these scraps out in the garbage. I'm going to put this back in the container at my table. And what you want to keep in mind is this always needs to be at the edge, like right up to the edge when you're cutting. You never want to cut like this, because then it's going to move around. You also always want to have your other hand behind your back, and you're always cutting up. If you need to, you turn your printing plate to get a better angle, but you never have it tilted and you never put your hand on it when you're cutting. It should always feel easy. If it doesn't, then you have to somehow reconfigure how you're cutting, and then I can help you with that too. Have fun.